Hey, what's up guys? We're back with another video today, and today we'll be talking about how to write emotional chords. Here's an example.
You know what it feels like when you're dancing blind. Just the beat inside my soul. Take me home, where my dreams are made of gold. In the zone, where the beat is uncontrolled. I know what it feels like. Come on, make me feel alive.
Alright, before I get started, I usually like to set myself up for success. That's a big tip I got from my coach miles away, by the way, if anyone's looking for coaching. Let's look for some samples that can, kind of spark that creativity. So whether that is atmospheres or something like that. And usually I learned this tip from Fairlane, but we'll look for an atmosphere that I usually like to harmonize. We're going to do this in the key of A. So we'll definitely change that because this is in this key of C sharp, and we'll make the BPM 140. C sharp to A. Let's change this to complex pro, and then C, B, C, A sharp I think it was, and then A. So we have A here, note. Yep, and then we're gonna harmonize this with some other note. Let's see, I'll turn this one off first. Yep, and then make this note. Yeah, we got to turn down the volume too. I think it may be here. Change that to complex pro, and I think it was actually at the -2. There you go. And we definitely want to lower the volume quite a bit more because this is just really going to be a background sound. And then obviously you can hear some frequencies that you probably don't want to hear, so you want to EQ that out. Probably just use EQ8. And yeah, probably around there. And then just some Valhalla shimmer to make it more of an atmosphere. Honestly, any other reverb can work. But I found Valhalla shimmer would be the most ideal to go for a more atmospheric kind of reverb to make your. So we have that. And we're probably gonna have to turn down the mix a bit more. It's still kind of loud, but we'll see how it goes. And then next up, I actually have this guitar from a Caslow sample pack. Definitely recommend it for any future bass artists who want to make music. They have a lot of great stuff in here. It's been actually helping my creativity quite a bit. So I'll probably leave a link in the description below if you guys want to take a look at it and purchase it. But yeah, it basically has a lot of the Caslow sounds like percussions and stuff, guitars. But this is I love their guitars. It's freaking amazing. So, and they also have presets, which I haven't tried out yet. I might even make a video just using their presets and make a drop out of it or something. We'll see. I'm not for sure yet, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, this is the guitar. And then since this is in G, key of G, we just got to move this up 2 semitones, and then it'll be in the key of A. And then we're going to process this guitar, but since this is not really a guitar processing tutorial, I'm going to skip this part. But if you do want to learn how to process your guitar, this is literally the same exact processing as I used from Caslow's guitar processing YouTube. You can just simply YouTube Caslow Alinium guitar, and you should be able to find how I process it. All right, so this is what we have so far. Alright, next we're going to add some strings. I also learned this from Caslow as well, from a coaching call actually that I had with them. So if you're looking for coaching with them, definitely reach out to them. They are freaking great, amazing artists, as well as my coach Miles Away. I've been with Miles Away for about 4 months and just recently reached out to Caslow for about 2 weeks or so far. All right, we're gonna have some strings again. Honestly, you know, any strings will do. So whatever you have can work. I just have this library, and usually for this one, I do the 1 and 5. The 1 and 5 in this key would be A and I believe E. And I think the 1 would be called the tonic, and then the E would be called the dominant. I think that's what it's called, because I honestly have no freaking clue. But yeah, let's start with the strings here. So usually when you're playing the tonic and the 5th, it's usually a safe note to play as a melody or in your chord progressions, and you'll see that in just a bit, but also here too. So again, the tonic would be the A. We might put this up an octave, we'll see how it sounds. And then the 5th would be an E. And let's see here. And let's just audition and see how it sounds. It works. So we added some processing to the strings, very simple OTT and some EQing. And then I also added some notes, kind of added a bit more flavor to it. Honestly, I have no idea what these notes do, but it worked, so I just kind of put it in there. So. Just adds a little bit more emotion to it. And then I also have some modulation in here to kind of like, you know, because a string player, you know, when you think about a string player, they don't really just play one stagnant note. Well, you know, it depends on the case, but in this case, you know, we try to incorporate more of like a person who actually play the strings. So here I basically set the modulation right here, and you can kind of see it's modulated right there, just to kind of give it some movement basically. And then let's add one more thing. We're gonna add some a vinyl cracker, cashmere. Yep, perfect. Cool. See, now this kind of like sets the tone for, like, you know, you can start, you know, hearing different melodies, different chord progression, and it becomes, you know, a lot easier for you to start writing your chords basically. So I basically played piano for about 4 years so far. So sometimes I have some basic understanding of how to, you know, play some chords, but usually I'll kind of just have a chord paid website out, so that way I can see like all the chords in the key, and then I'll just kind of, you know, mess around and see what kind of works. Really quickly too, we're just gonna do some really basic processing on the keyboard. But if you don't have Alicia keys and you're looking for like a pretty quality, you know, free piano, just use the Labs. This is a great sounding keyboard or piano, and it's free, so it's a great whatever the word. It's a great damn, what the hell is that word? I don't know what the word is, but you can definitely use that instead of any like paid plugins like these. But yeah, so you know, if you know how to play piano or somewhat have an understanding, you can just simply, you know, kind of play over it, some chords over, and see what fits. So I'll kind of do that, and then we'll go over. If you don't know how to play piano, that's cool. We'll definitely get to that right after this. You know, it's a bit easier too because you actually have the guitar and you kind of just can follow what the guitar is playing. But again, if you don't know how to play the piano, not a problem. We'll definitely just go in this route. So basically, in the same case, you could easily just press in whatever notes in the key. Sometimes I'll even have the screen of what notes are on the key too, just so that way I know what notes I can play. But since it's a bit more simple this time, since we have the guitar, we basically can just follow the bass notes of the guitar. So Then we can basically repeat that. And then I think this is a pretty cool trick that I think usually works all the time, I think. I'm not too sure. I actually just learned it recently, but I think if you move it seven semitones up from where it is, that should be the fifth of the chord. Oh, and also earlier when we were talking about the tonic and dominant, you know, it being A and E in the key of A, if you compare that to the key of C, just to make things more simple, the tonic or the number one would be a C in the C key major, and then G would be the fifth, or I believe again it's called the dominant in the C key major. But yeah, back to this. I believe if you just move this seven semitones up from where it is, you should have the fifth of the chord, not the key this time, but of each chord. So we have the first chord as A, move it 7 semitones up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whoops, 6 and 7, and then you should have every fifth playing. All right, there you go. And then I believe this trick doesn't, I don't think it works for all the chords because there's some minor chords in here, but if you move it 4 times up, you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll have the third for the major though. So it'll work for the major chords, but I don't think it'll work for the minor chords. So, and in this case, we have a B minor and I believe a F sharp minor chord. So we'll have to move the middle of these down. So these are basically their chords, and they're like their most basic form. And usually you don't really want it like this, although it could still work because all the notes are playing correctly. But especially when it comes down to like your drop chords, it can get really muddy because they're really close to each other. So if it was at a higher octave, you probably have more room to, you know, play things together. But when you're playing things at a lower octave, they usually become less muddy. So to give you an example, you know, right now we have the A chord. I'm just gonna play at a higher octave. You know, it's probably not the greatest example, but if you were to play, you know, those same notes here, it just doesn't really sound too great. So a good rule of thumb, and you don't have to always do this, but usually when you move the 3 up an octave, it sounds really nice as a melody. So moving the 3 up an octave. Shift up for Ableton users. I don't know what it is for other DAWs. And simply, if you just want to move it manually, you just move it up to, rather than being C#2, or you just move it up to C#3 and the rest accordingly. So it'll sound like this. And then, so technically you can even leave it like this and then have the strings and other things later in your song play a bit more complicated chords. So we'll kind of audition it first just like this, and then you know, in the case where you do want to make the chords a bit more emotional and complicated, we'll definitely go over that too. But yeah, let's just audition it first and then you can hear it first. Oh yeah, I forgot to process the piano real quick. We'll just do that really quickly. Okay, so really quickly, all I really did was put some velocity in it. Sometimes you don't really want your, you know, piano sound to sound the same, I guess, frequency or velocity, basically, all the same time. I also added a groove to it. That way you can kind of humanize it and kind of play things a little off timing a little bit. Again, you know, it's always good to have, like, you know, kind of pretend or think about how a normal human would play it, or a human would play it, and it makes things a bit more emotional that way. But yeah, let's audition it with everything right now. Cool. See, like I said, that can definitely work, but if you want to get a bit more complicated, we can definitely do that. Again, in the chords, you can simply, again, use the 1 It's a pretty safe note that it usually should work in most likely all your chords that it should work. So here we go. And then again, you can also use the 5, which is the E, and that will definitely work too, or usually work. From what I've seen so far, it's pretty much has always worked for the chords that I've written. So you already see the emotion and stuff, and the tension basically from some of the notes, I guess being close together. Like I think this is called like being dissonance or whatever it's called. And then what you can do also too is, I don't know if this will always work for this case, but in this case, since I've done this for some time now, you can basically move this up, and it just kind of takes some time, you know, like if you don't know exactly how the notes work. I mean, when I first started learning, I just kind of like move stuff up in the key, you know, like I would kind of just experiment, like, all right, let's just try adding a note in key. I know B is in the key of A, so let's try this. Is it gonna work? I mean, maybe, but that's not exactly what I'm looking for. So let's try, you know, I don't know, C sharp. Does that work? Yeah. And that's kind of like, you know, how you go about it, and how I learned like how these chords work, even when I don't really know too much theory. And then put this probably right here. Might work. There you go. And then you have like a pretty solid, you know, more emotional, I guess complicated chord that you can use for your chord stack. And then kind of auditioning it all together. Now for the strings. And again, we're actually going to use the 1 and 5 again, but this time we're going to make it a little different. So actually this time we're going to use the 1, I think it was actually this octave here. Yeah, the 1 here as a top. And then we're going to use the 5, which is down here. This actually I learned again from Caslow, and usually this will work too for whatever the key you're in, as long as the next note down is in the key, it should work. And then the next part, we're actually going to make it a bit more epic, because it is the breakdown. And introduce some more instruments. And it doesn't necessarily even have to be this, what is it? This setup that I have here is definitely not, you know, how you should make every single trap, but it's a good, you know, start. Sometimes people don't even have a breakdown, and they just, you know, skip the breakdown and have some type of 8-bar here, and then another 8-bar buildup, and then to the drop. So whatever you feel is right to you, definitely do that. So basically, for the strings, we're going to take this here. Again, if you wanted to, you know, you could definitely get away with just making very simple, you know, 3-note piano chords. But I kind of like those chords, so I'm actually just going to leave it there for now. And then we're going to move this up an octave. And then we're going to actually layer it with some horns as well. Yeah, let's definitely make this string a bit more complicated. Let's see here. Yeah, I guess I'll just play it like that for now. And again, this is just probably just going to take some time. You know, it's just remember, like, kind of like, you know, how to create, you know, chords that you're looking for. But just from experience, I know this should work. So to give it that dissonant feel, let me just turn some of these off real quick. Yeah, kind of gives that dissonance right here, these two. Let's just audition this real quick. This might work too, we'll see. Actually, nope, that not gonna work. There you go. And then we're actually gonna add a horn now. I guess I'll just leave that there for now, and we'll change that later. And this one, actually, we're gonna do just a little bit different. Just because sometimes it might get a little muddy if you add too much in the same octave. You know, it's very similar to like stacking your saws. You know, it's like if you have too many notes, or well, I guess it depends. Yeah, if you have like too many notes probably in the same like octave and stuff like that, and you have like 3 different super saws, it just gets freaking crazy. So, you know, it's about, from what I've learned so far, it seems like, you know, what usually sounds the most pleasing to the ear is, you know, how you go about, you know, making your notes and the sounds you choose and stuff like that. But yeah, so let's go ahead and put, what was it again? A. Yep, A. So we have the horns here basically, and I added, I basically did the same thing. We have an A, E, and then C sharp, again the C up an octave, and this time I tried putting the note down 1, and it seemed like it worked too, so check it out. And these chords are basically the same as the earlier one we did with the piano. Basically, it's the what's this one again? Oh yeah, B minor. So we have the B minor, the F sharp, and then the D up an octave again. We have the C minor, I believe. Wait, oh, F sharp minor, C sharp, and then the 3 up an octave again, and then we have the D major, D. F sharp, actually this is the A, and then the F sharp up an octave. And then in this chord I tried changing a little bit more. It's the same chord, A, but this time rather than playing the C sharp, I tried moving it to an E and then down to an A. And then these chords are the same here. This one I also changed a little bit. Rather than playing the A, I had it play the B, and then we have the last chord, rather than playing the F sharp, it's playing A. So altogether it sounds like this, or from the top rather. Gives a bit of variation, so you don't always expect the same chord. And then basically all together with everything else. Oh yeah, and also also learned this from Caslow, but basically have the horns pan to the right and then the strings pan to the left. Ideally when you do this, you also want something covering the middle, so whether that be a piano, for example, some type of arp, guitar, whatever it is. But yeah, let's addition everything together and see how it sounds. Alright, and you may notice in the keyboard here I have some of these 5 dominant notes in the key of A again, muted just because I kind of liked it without it playing. And you might even get away with turning off the A too, you know, whatever you feel is like kind of right to you, just go for it, you know. Like this could work too, but I liked it with the A more, give that extra. And even though this is not really a how to make an orchestra tutorial, I'll definitely make one in the near future probably. It's very similar concept, but I guess in the next tutorial I can use a bit more orchestra instruments. But just for the hell of it, we can definitely just add one more thing here and just have this like droning note that we can use a violin. And you may have guessed it, but the droning note, yes, will be either a 1 or a 5. You can do both again, but in this instance I think we're just gonna go with the 1. So yeah, we can use a violin for this one. I'm gonna set the dynamics down, or you can even modulate it like we did earlier, but just for the sake of time and to make things quicker for this tutorial, we'll just do like lower the dynamics. We're gonna do tremolo. Basically or I don't know how to say it, tremolo, whatever. Basically, we kind of want to add more tension, hence why we decided to go with that. I think A3 should work. Yep, that should work. So I'll kind of show you the difference between sustain and then the one we have now. So here we go. It's kind of shaky, right? And then if you were to go with sustain, it's just kind of one thing. So, adds a bit more tension when you use this tremolo or tremolo, whatever. And then we're probably gonna have to turn this down the mix, but we can kind of play with everything and then turn it down as we go. And basically with this drone, without it, you may notice it a bit. It's gonna be very subtle. So like, it's more of like a thing that you can feel more than you can hear. So we'll try auditioning it. So this is off and then on. So very, very, very subtle. Let's just overdo it just for the hell of it. Whoops. And now you can kind of hear it in the background, and we're going to lower it a bit. Yeah. Maybe around there. We'll see. And then we're going to add the vocal next. Alright, so we added the vocal. And then also, you know what, we're going to change this piano. You know what, we're just going to use labs just for the hell of it, that you don't really need, to kind of show that you don't really need to have, all the plugins. But, if you're looking for a certain sound and you also have, the budget to buy it, why not, right? But yeah, we'll just use the labs just for the hell of it. Let me audition this first. Yeah, that'll work. Oh yeah, and the quick processing for the piano, very simple. We have a, don't know if I went through this yet, but we have a velocity. Yeah, we went through that. We have a compressor. Honestly, you can even use the OTT compressor, which will probably work. I guess I'll show you that right now too. And we'll put the compression, I guess, after this. And then usually you can also probably do a bit of compression. Don't want to do too much. And usually this can make a nice effect. Let's see how it sounds. Yeah. Without OTT, and then with. And then compared to the old compressor that I had. This one, basically, it's a stylistic choice of basically over compressing it. That's why it's so loud. But yeah, let's just do the OTT one just for the sake of it, in case anyone doesn't have this plugin. This is I don't know what type of compressor this is, but basically some other ones that could probably replace this one is like a Arturia one. And you can simply just look up, Google Arturia or this VC76 and look for other similar ones if you have a compressor yourself, and you can probably make a similar sound. This EQing probably could change now since we have a different piano, but whatever, I'll just leave it. And then we have a reverb, and that's really it. More processing probably could be later during the mix, or during closer stages of finishing the track, but for now this is good enough. So let's hear it in context.
Just the beat inside my soul. Take me home where my dreams are made of gold.
Alright, let's play with everything from the top with the vocal now.
Let's make this fleeting moment last forever. So tell me what you're waiting for. I'm gonna keep it frozen here forever. There's no regretting anymore. It's worth the wait, even so far away. I'm making the night mine until the day I die. No light to break when you're hanging by fate. You know what it feels like when you're dancing blind. All alone, just the beat inside my soul. Take me home where my dreams are made of gold. In the zone where the beat is uncontrolled. I know what it feels like. Come on, make me feel alive.
Yeah, I hope you found this helpful. If you do like this content or found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Hit the bell notification symbol so you know when my next video goes live. I'm looking forward to do more music tutorials. down the line, or probably more this week too. We'll see. And follow me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and all this stuff. I'll leave all my links in the description below. Thank you so much, and hope to see you next time. Much love. Peace.